back with another live stream. Got I just took a shower, so I always feel better when I take a shower. So that's why my hair's at a little odd angles. Um, one of my roommates the other day jailbreaked my Fire Stick. So now I got this app where I can get a whole bunch of TV shows on it, and I've been enjoying watching that. And I've been watching the last week or so. I think he jailbreaked it like 4 days ago. But anyway, just in 4 days alone, I've already worked my way through almost 2 seasons of Fear the Walking Dead, and I got other shows on hold. Um, Basically, I've seen every episode of The Walking Dead. Now I'm watching Fear the Walking Dead, and I'm already on season 2, episode 13, and there's 2 more episodes before I reach season 3 of that. But that's not what we're getting into today. So at least I'm happy that I got jailbroken, um and now I get to see like all these different shows. Um, like I said, my videos will be limited starting March 17th because that's when I start college. So my videos will be limited. I won't be posting a whole lot throughout that time. My only off day from college is the weekends, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Um, but like 5 days ago, we left off at Article 43, so we're picking up Article 44. Um, or actually, I think it was Article 44, but we're still there. Okay, so we're at Section 44, Article 8, Training Routes. That's where we had left off at, or at least that's where we're picking up at anyway. So So in order to provide for more favorable training for new employees vacated or newly created routes at each center, they shall be used as training areas, and these training areas shall be bid in each center. Training routes shall be posted on the center's bulletin board. Now employees who presently hold bid areas shall not lose their bids as a result of this provision. But in centers where more than one training route exists, these training routes shall be used on a rotating basis for a period of time that is not to exceed one year, or when a new route becomes available, whichever event occurs earlier. So when a new training route is established at the oldest established training route should be removed in the training route first. Um, Now the following shall be the maximum number of training routes allowed in a center. 20 package car routes, one training area. Now 21 to 40 should be 2 training areas. 41 to 60 shall have 3 training areas, and 61 to 80 package car routes should have 4 training areas, and 81 to 100 package car routes should have at least 5 training areas. Section 44.9. Full-time combination employees shall be offered extra work for their assigned shift using full-time seniority. Now when scheduling extra work on a holiday or a special sort qualified full-time combination employees shall be offered extra work within their sort using total full-time seniority. It is understood that the employees performing this work shall be paid for the hours worked on these days at the applicable overtime rate that's provided, and that they complete their bid work week. Section 44, Article 10, full-time employees jurisdictional transfer. A full-time employee with at least 1 year of seniority who becomes aware of an opening in the same classification at another location under Local 705's jurisdiction, they may request to put in a transfer at their own expense. If more than one employee expresses an interest in that position, seniority will prevail. Now the employee shall entail onto the seniority. Now the seniority list, and they shall maintain company seniority for the purpose of determining the benefits. Now the employee will become ineligible for another transfer for a period of no less than 1 calendar year from the date that they transfer. Article 45, guarantees. Section 45, Article 1, Monday through Friday full-time employees. Any employee who is assigned to work the regular work week as defined as it's going to be in 46, which we will get to, they shall be guaranteed not less than 8 continuous hours of work or the full equivalent in pay in any one day. Any employee who is called to work but not assigned shall be guaranteed not less than 8 hours continuous of work or the full equivalent in pay in any one day, not including the 10% employees unless signed. Section 45, Article 2, Saturday and Sunday. Any employee called or put to work on a Saturday or Sunday shall be guaranteed not less than 8 continuous hours of work or the full equivalent in pay at Saturday or Sunday rates, except for those employees on an alternate work week schedule, whose pay rate shall be determined as provided in Article 46, Section 1B. Section 45, Article 3 is trial period. Any employees promoted to a higher rated pay shall be given a trial for a period not to exceed 40 days at the rate of the higher job. If at the end of the trial period it is determined that the employee is not qualified or adapted to the new position, they will return to the old position of what they were doing before, at the same rate of pay which was formerly paid for the old position. The employee shall be afforded this opportunity after a 12-month eligibility period. Section 45, Article 4 is overtime for full-time employees. So time and a half. The time and a half rate shall be paid for all work performed by an employee before and after the regular scheduled workday. Time and a half shall be paid after 8 hours in one day, and after 40 hours in any 1 week, except as otherwise provided in this agreement. Now, but overtime should not be paid twice for the same hours worked, but overtime for all employees shall be prorated on a minute basis for all overtime worked. So Section 45, Article 5, Sundays. Double time shall be paid for all work performed on Sundays except for those employees on an alternate work week schedule, as defined in Article 46, Section 1B, and with respect to washers and porters where the present practices shall prevail. Section 45, Article 6, Holidays. Holidays shall be paid at the appropriate rate and hours as provided in this agreement. Section 45, Article 7, Weekly. You do have weekly pay, which everybody at UPS gets paid every week. Because of my bank, I get paid every Thursday. Now the first 90% by seniority of employees in any center called or put to work during any day of the regular work week shall be guaranteed 40 straight time hours of work or its equivalent in pay for such a regular work week basis. But the employer shall be exempt from such weekly guarantee if any one employee at their own initiative takes off a regular scheduled workday during such work week or is laid off or discharged for such cause, or two, the employer had not directly or indirectly caused a work stoppage, such as fire, floods, destruction, or national or local emergency, which as a proximate result thereof caused a complete stoppage of all or part of the employee's operations. Now, hours worked prior to the employee's posted starting time shall not be credited at the 40-hour guarantee. Now we're okay. Article 46, work week and days. Section 46, Article 1. The straight time work week for all employees shall consist of 5 days, Monday through Friday, which is inconclusive, except as provided in B below, of 8 continuous hours worked, with time and a half to be paid for any work performed on Saturday, except for washers and porters where the present working conditions shall prevail. Now, in order to meet the needs of an expanded business, the employer shall be permitted to create schedules that differ from those that exist today. Now, future schedules may be expanded to provide that all employees may be scheduled 5 consecutive days or an alternate schedule of either Sunday through Thursday or Tuesday through Saturday. Now, seniority employees on the payroll in each classification as of the ratification date of this agreement should not be assigned to such alternate schedules except at the request of the employee, or as with the result of the employer or employee following their work to a new center, and there are no available Monday through Friday schedules. Employees shall be afforded the opportunity in seniority order to select their preferred work schedule. For me, I work Monday through Friday, but down the line, I could be picking up Saturdays and Sundays down the line, and that would give me more money to work with if I do it that way. Now, for those employees scheduled on the above alternate work week, all work performed on the employee's 6th day shall be paid at time and a half, and all work performed in the employee's 7 days shall be paid double time. If you come in on Sunday, that is. Sections for, Section 46, Article 2. Full-time employees on nights have the option to work Sunday instead of Friday night at package centers as scheduled by the employer with the approval of the union. Full-time seniority employees. Now full-time seniority employees uniform starting time must be scheduled by Friday of the preceding work week for the following work week. If an employee is called to start work before their posted starting time, they shall be paid 1.5 times the regular straight time rate for the hours worked before their posted starting time. Now, for those employees covered by Article 46, Section 1B, starting time shall be posted on their last scheduled workday each week. So the new schedule for next week will be posted tomorrow when I go in. All employees shall be paid in full each week. Not more than 5 days' pay may be held back. Employees who are laid off shall be paid in full on their next scheduled pay period. Article 47, duties. Duties of the parcel drivers. Parcel drivers' regular duties may include sorting and loading the packages assigned to their routes. Records of such deliveries shall be paid and made by the parcel drivers on their routes if not previously recorded or sheeted. Somebody's messaging me on Facebook. I'll look at that later. Okay. Full-time combination jobs. The employer shall determine the classification to be used when creating new full-time jobs as outlined in Article 22. All new full-time jobs shall contain a job description of duties and qualifications that shall be required to successfully qualify for this job. Now, employees who put up additions to bins, general utility employees. Now, employees who put up additions to bins, perform minor repairs, and act as handymen. Washers and porters, washers who wash vehicles and check gas and oil, and porters who keep the premises inside and out clean and neat, and they store records. Feeder drivers shall load and unload as directed, regardless of domicile. Feeder drivers may be required to sort during those hours when the regular sorting crews are off, and in those locations that do not have sorters assigned. Now, TDP drivers, all TDP package combination areas or any vacated TDP package combination areas shall be bid to all full-time qualified package drivers in that building. Now, TDP package combination employees shall work in the package driver classification, but drivers who successfully bid a TDP package combination to such at such facilities shall be afforded the right to attend tractor trailer school if needed, and shall have a 40-hour working day qualification period. However, they shall not be placed on the feeder qualified list. Article 48, feeder drivers. Section 48, Article 1, job bids, and they do have bids on jobs in any particular warehouse. In March and September of each year, all feeder drivers in each bidding shall be posted for bid by classification seniority, and 25% of the employees in their classification shall bid weekly. Now, those who fail or decline to make their selection by the required time period shall be assigned. Such bidding procedure shall be completed by the end of said months. After completion of the job bidding process, a copy of the bid sheet shall be given to the union steward upon request. In addition to the March and September bid of each year, the feeder drivers shall have unlimited bidding. Now, if a permanent vacancy or newly established bid becomes available in a building, the feeder driver in that building may bid on such openings in seniority order, and any unfulfilled vacancy shall be first filled from the local certified jurisdiction feeder intent list. Now, the 10 most senior employees who get the necessary certification permit will be trained for purposes of gaining their CDL qualifications. Now, once qualified, these 10 employees will be the first employees eligible in seniority order for peak season and permanent feeder job opportunities only. Now, these 10 may be expanded by mutual agreement. Now, if a feeder driver's start time is changed by 1 hour or more estimated, or more eliminated, they have the right to exercise their seniority and displace any junior employee within the feeder classification in that bidding. Local 75 shall receive a current and any future updated list of employees in seniority order and that are on the feeder qualified list on a monthly basis. Section 48, Article 2, Crosstown Operation. The crosstown operation shall be scheduled pursuant to what Article 46, Section 1B had stated. Section 48, Article 3, Tractor Trailer School. Now, this is if you were going to go and get your CDL, which I'm never gonna drive trucks anyway because I don't want to. All employees who are interested in qualifying as a tractor trailer driver shall notify the employer. Such employees in seniority order shall be permitted to attend to attend on their own time the employer training program, which may be established from time to time as the need occurs. Now, the employer agrees to furnish the necessary equipment and instructors for that particular class. Now, to qualify for attendance at the tractor trailer school, a union employee must have one year safe driving record and a clean DMV abstract record report for the year preceding their application to attend the school. Only the DMV abstract reports shall be required for employees who do not have the driving responsibility and the ability to obtain the 1 year driving school. Now, upon completion of tractor trailer school, the employer shall determine whether the employee is qualified to drive tractor trailers and whether the employee shall be placed on the qualified list. Now, Section 48, Article 4. When performing supervisory rides with feeder drivers in extremely inclement weather, management shall suspend demonstrations if the employee feels their personal safety is in jeopardy until the conditions improve. Now, speaking of shitty conditions, my road the street that I live on, it's all full of black ice. I slipped and fell earlier today while walking outside to my door. So that was not fun at all. Article 49, lunch period and breaks. The lunch period shall be 1 hour if you're full time, which shall be taken between the 3rd and 6th hour by all employees except feeder drivers shall take their lunch between the 4th and the end of the 6th. Now, all employees shall receive at least one 10-minute break, one 10-minute paid break, if you're a part-timer, that is. Employees who presently enjoy 2 paid breaks shall continue this practice. All paid for time shall be counted in computing overtime. Article 50, maintenance of standards. All conditions of employment, so all conditions of employment and the employer's individual operation relating to wages, hours of work, overtime differentials, and general working conditions shall be maintained at least and not less than the highest standards in effect at the time of the signing of this agreement, and the conditions of employment shall be improved whether the specific provisions for employment are made elsewhere in this agreement. Now, any errors found at any time shall be corrected immediately, and over and under payment shall only be adjusted for the 90 calendar days. Any disagreement between the union and the employer with respect to this matter shall be subjected in the agreement procedure. Article 7. Now, this provision does not give the employer the right to impose or continue wages, hours, and working conditions less than those contained in this agreement. Article 51 is the holidays. Section 51, Article 1, holiday pay. Employees shall be paid for 8 hours. Shall be paid 8 hours a day for the full time, and 4 and 5 hours and 5 hours for part time employees at the straight time hourly rate for the following holidays: New Year's Day, Martin Luther King Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, the day after Black Friday, Christmas Day, Christmas Day and Christmas Eve, um, and New Year's Day, and five optional holidays, and regardless of the day of which the week it falls on, is provided basically that they comply with the qualifications set forth hereinafter. All full-time holidays will be paid at 9 hours per day if you're a full-time employee, that is. Now part-time employees will receive 5 hours of pay for their optional holidays. Holidays which fall on a Sunday shall be observed on that Monday where the employer schedules work on a holiday. Such work week shall be offered in order of seniority, and if not fully staffed, at least senior employees shall also work the holiday. Um, now, when the employer allows an employee to take an entire work week off without pay, and the said employee has an optional holiday available, the employee shall be allowed to use the optional day. Section 51, Article 2, holiday rate. Now, employees called to work on any of the above listed holidays shall be guaranteed a minimum of 8 hours continuous work or its equivalent in pay at double time and the regular rate, in addition to the 8 hours holiday pay above referred to. Now, part-time employees shall be guaranteed 5 hours of work or pay on the same basis as above, meaning double the rate paid. Section 51, Article 3, qualifications. In order to qualify for 8 hours of straight time pay for holidays not worked, an employee must be employed for 90 days or more and must work the regular workday, which immediately precedes or follows the holiday, unless the employer agrees to give the employee the extra time. Section 51, Article 4, weekly guarantee. Now, if the holiday falls on a weekday, Monday through Friday, the employee shall be guaranteed 40 hours at straight time pay for that week, without having to work the holiday. If a holiday falls on a Saturday or Sunday, employees who shall be guaranteed 48 hours at the straight time pay for that week without having to work that Saturday, except for employees on an alternate work week schedule, as defined in Article 46. In the event that the holiday falls on the regularly scheduled workday, these employees shall be guaranteed 40 hours straight time pay for that week without having to work the holiday. If the holiday falls on the 6th or 7th day during the week, these employees shall be guaranteed 48 hours at straight time pay for that week without having to work their scheduled day off. Section 51, Article 5, holiday shift. If an employee is regularly scheduled or starts to work on the day before the holiday and continues to work until the holiday, they should be guaranteed 8 hours of continuous work at the regular straight time hourly pay. Now, if an employee is regularly scheduled or starts to work on a holiday and they continues to work until the following day, they shall be guaranteed 8 hours of work at 2 times the regular straight time rate, meaning double time pay. And for hours worked prior to the regular scheduled starting time should not be credited to their 8 hours work. Section 51, Article 6, holidays falling on during the layoffs or illness or injury. Now, if a holiday falls within the 30 30-day period following an employee's layoff due to lack of work or because of their illness or injury, any such employee is also recalled or returns to work during the same 30-day period, but did not receive any holiday pay, then in any such case they shall receive an extra day's pay for each holiday. Now in the week in which they return to work, the said extra's day pay shall be equivalent to 8 hours at the straight time hourly rate specified in the agreement. Such employee who was ill or injured shall receive the difference between the appropriate rate for the extra day's pay and any amount collected from workers' compensation. An employee who was laid off because of lack of work week or was ill or injured and is not recalled to or does not return to work within the aforementioned 30-day period is not entitled to the extra pay period upon the return. Under no circumstances shall the extra pay referred. I'm doing good. Basically, took a shower, getting ready for college in the next month or so, and I'm not going to be able to do a whole lot of videos in between that time. Um, Now, herein it shall be constructed to be holiday pay, um, or no shall it be considered as hours worked for weekly overtime. Um, Now, the Section 51, Article 7 is Saturday and Sunday shifts if you ever choose to work them. You don't have to. Um, Usually they offer them during peak season. Now, an employee who is regularly scheduled to work on a Friday shift and works into Saturday and shall be compensated at the straight time hourly rate. An employee who starts to work on Saturday and works into Sunday shall be compensated at the Saturday rate for hours worked, meaning basically time and a half. But an employee who starts to work on Sunday and they work into Monday shall be compensated at the Sunday rates for all hours worked. Now the above language shall not apply to those employees on an alternate work week schedule as defined in Article 46. But those employees shall be paid as followed. Now, an employee who is regularly scheduled to work on their fifth and works until their sixth day shall be compensated at straight time hourly rate pay. An employee who starts to work on their sixth day and works until their seventh day shall be compensated at the 6-day rate for all hours worked. An employee who starts to work on their seventh day and works until the next day shall be compensated at their 7-day rate for all hours worked. Hours worked prior to the regular scheduled starting time should not be credited towards the 8-hour work guarantee. Article 52 is vacation. Basically, you have to work a full year to get vacation. Section 52, Article 1, eligibility, full-time employees. An employee who in their first year of employment has been employed for 1 year from their anniversary date of hiring and has worked 1,250 hours throughout the year shall be entitled to one week vacation with pay computed at 50 times their straight time hourly rate of pay. An employee other than in their first year of employment who has worked not less than 1,250 hours in a full-time year from their anniversary date of hiring shall be entitled to vacation with pay according to the following schedule. So basically, after 1 year, you get 1 week. After 3, you get 2. If you work 9 years, you get 3. After 15 years, you get 4. After 20 years, you get 5. And then after 25 years, you get 6. And then after 30 years, you get 7 weeks of vacation. Basically, in order for me to get 7 weeks, I'll be 66 by then, and who knows if I'll be working that long, or even if I'll be alive by then. Employees shall pick vacations by full-time seniority with 30 days to pick November 1st through November 30th, and schedule vacations from December 26th through the week ending Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. The employee shall be ready to pick when asked. At the rate of 25% per week in seniority order. Employees shall be able to pick up any week during their step-up year and be paid for such week. If not ready, the employee shall be passed over and pick what is available when ready. Upon the completion of the vacation selection process, and not later than January 1st, the employer shall provide the union with a copy of all vacation selections sent to the attention of the union's secretary treasurer. Let's see here. Let's try to refresh this page. And go back. I'm going to show you my login here for a minute. Just hold on a second here. I'm going to try to get into something. That might be it. Let me see. So send me a text. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. I was checking something. Making sure that the text I got was the same thing I needed. Oh, crap. I screwed that up. Hold on. Yeah. I screwed up something here, so hold on. Um, okay, I'm checking something here. Usually I check my paychecks to see what my hours are for the week. I got paid today, so I'm looking at my paycheck here. Um, Today is the 6th. Um, it usually tells you on here how many hours you worked. I'm looking to see if I can spot that. Um, oh, here we go. Um, it shows I've worked 115 hours so far between January and February, only because with me being part-time, I don't get a whole lot of hours. But once I get 40 hours, then I'm good. But it would take. But there's such a backlog on the overtime thing that I gotta put 3 years in before I can even put my name on a bidding list for full time, and that's only if there's a full time position open, and there's no guarantee that there is. Um, so now the employer and union shall agree upon a selection form to provide the employees to document their vacation selections. The employer shall provide a copy to the employee and the union at the time of selection. With the exception of delivery information, employees where the prohibition is in effect from the third Monday in January to the third Monday in March. Now, any employee who is eligible for a full-time vacation and who resigns or whose services are terminated shall receive pay for the number of weeks vacation as set forth in subsection for their own completed years of service. Any such regular full-time employee with more than 1 year of service who resigns or whose services are terminated shall receive the prorated pay for the number of weeks vacation as set forth in this article for their then completed years of service. Now, the prorated pay shall be completed on a percentage basis by dividing the number of straight time hours worked into 1,250 as illustrated below. Now, um, now if you 125 hours, 10% of the full time of the full time vacation. 250 hours is 20% of full time vacation. 312 hours is 25 hours of full time as 25% of the full time vacation. 625 is 50% of full time vacation. 937 hours is 75% of full time vacation, and 1,250 is the 100% or full time of vacation. Any full-time employee who displaces a part-time employee shall have those hours counted towards their hours worked for a full-time vacation. Now, if a holiday falls during an employee's on vacation, they shall indicate at the time of selecting said week which of the following option is their wish. Take 8 hours pay in lieu of the holiday to be paid with the vacation. The Friday prior to starting vacation off as the paid holiday or the last scheduled work day for those employees on an alternate work week schedule, as defined in Article 46, Section 1. The following Monday, the Monday following vacation off as the paid holiday or the first scheduled work day for those employees on an alternate work week schedule, as defined in Article 46, Section 1. Now, they also have the option to hold the paid holiday and use it as an additional optional holiday, and noted the Friday before and the Monday after a week with the holiday, and it shall be restricted to only one person each day, and assigned to those looking to exercise the option by seniority. Now, the locking in of these 2 days supersedes any option upon request. The unused option days shall be paid in full the first week of December each year. I do have an option week which I could also use as as a week where I don't have to be there for holiday for like vacation. I just let it build up. I don't have to take it, but I could if I want to. Um, and right now it's showing that I got 25 hours of the option week, meaning because I basically work 5 hours a day, at most, unless they decide to need me for anything longer. Um, I have my option week where I get paid my 25 hours, um, for that week for not being there. Um, now the employer um, Now the employer shall schedule 18% of the employees by classification off on vacation from the Monday of the third full week of April, up and to including the week in which Labor Day falls, and a minimum of 8% of the remaining months. Um, Now, Section 52, Article 2, um, vacation pay. On the payday immediately preceding an employee's on vacation, they should be entitled to vacation pay that's computed on the basis of 50 hours per week at the current year's hourly rate. Um, Now let's go back here. Actually, hold on a second. Um, Damn it, man, with Illinois, man, they really hit you up for taxes. On my paycheck this week, I got $122 taken out in taxes. Um, that's about what they take out like every week on my check anyway. They take out about $120 something every week. So far this year, they've taken out they've taken out damn near $1,000 in taxes, um, in my check already, and that's not even a month into the damn year. And it's like basically not even the second month in. Um, Now we're gonna go back to this. I already got my W-2 from UPS, but obviously, let's close out this one. I can go to my info. Basically, I'm listed as a loader, unloader. Basically, I load the trucks and unload them. Other times they have me do other stuff. It's not always the same thing. It's also good to know more about the job, because the more you know about the job, the more valuable you become to the company. We are okay. This is about me. Basically, I'm a part-time. Basically it says management levels associate. I don't know, but I'm never going to become a manager. I don't want to. I work for a cost center, and basically what that means, when you so with UPS, if you work for a cosh, like a warehouse, the warehouse, because they're bigger, they pay more. If you go to another state, and the UPS building is smaller, and the warehouse is smaller, they won't get paid as much. Basically, I'm at 39.39 of years of service. I don't know what that means particularly. 0.39. Basically, my 1 year mark will be September 16th. Supposedly, I found this out. I was told differently. Basically, I was told that raises come in every August, but actually, your raise will come once you hit your 1 year mark. Since I got hired in September, my raise will come in September and not August, because it has to be 1 full year. And my full year will be September 16th of this year. So I'll get my raise. You just gotta remind them, basically. The raise, I'm not sure what it's gonna be. I won't know for sure. I think the raise could be 50 cents to a dollar, possibly anything between that. But I guess I won't know for sure until it comes. So now section 52, Article 3, full-time employees who fall short of the 1,250 straight time hours and part-time employees who fall short of the 625 straight time hours in any one qualifying year because of a compensable workers' compensation leave shall be considered to have qualified in that year for their vacation. This benefit shall be granted only once during the life of the agreement upon the request of the employer to the labor manager. Article 53, Teamster UPS days. In lieu of the option week of vacation set forth in Article 53 of the 2013 to 2018 contract, the employees shall receive 5 Teamster UPS days. To be eligible, employees must have acquired seniority and be on the payroll by January 1st of any 1 year. Full-time Teamster UPS days will be paid at 10 hours per day. 10 hours per day if you're full-time, and the part-time UPS Teamsters shall be paid at least 5 hours per day at the employee's rate of pay when accrued on January 1st. Now these days will be used for any purpose, including illness, appointments, care of family members, observance of religious holidays, etc. An employee may request payment for the Teamster UPS days. Payment will be made and no later than the normal holiday and the normal payday that occurs no sooner than 10 days from written request. Now the Teamster UPS days may be combined into a single week to be picked during the vacation selection period. Any Teamster UPS days not used shall be paid off during the payoff period at the end of the calendar year. And according to Section 124, with Section 12460 of the City of Chicago Municipal Code, the employer and the union waive the city's paid sick leave requirements, the requirements of Section 12445, and according to with Section 425 of the Cook County Code of Ordinances, the employer and the union also waive the Cook County's earned sick leave ordinance. Now, Article 54, discharge and suspension. Let's see, I'm almost done with this book. Yeah, I'm almost done with this. Now, Article 54 is discharge and suspension. The employer shall not discharge or suspend any employee without probable cause. No employee shall be suspended or discharged without first being verbally warned and the warning being documented except for the following offenses. A. Dishonesty. An employee's failure to accurately recall details during an investigatory interview shall not by itself be considered dishonest. Drinking of or under the influence of alcoholic beverages is specified in Article 35 and herein above, or narcotics during the workday. C. Personal possession or the use of drugs, marijuana or LSD during the workday. Gross negligence resulting in a serious accident as defined in Article 18. The carrying of unauthorized passengers while on the job. Failure to report an incident or accident. A runaway accident, a sexual harassment, or fighting on the job. Now, if the employer is found to have improperly removed an employee, if the employer is found to have improperly removed an employee from the service, the labor manager and business agent or arbitrator have the discretion to award them 2 times their regular rate of pay, meaning the double time pay. That double time pay does come in handy, and it's useful when you actually work it and you're actually Now, the warning notice, as herein provided, shall have no force or effect for a period of more than 9 months from the date of the said warning notice. Now, warning notices are the file write-ups beyond the 9-month period set forth above shall not be considered in the grievance procedure. Now, the disciplinary action shall be reduced to writing with a copy of the disciplinary warning suspension, or discharge notice presented at the time of such notice to the employee and to the union steward. Um, Article 55 miscellaneous. Section 55, Article 1. Um, the provision of this agreement shall apply to all to all accretions to the bargaining unit, including but not limited to newly established or qualified or acquired terminals, consolidations of terminals, etc. Now, this provision shall not apply to a wholly owned and wholly independently operated subsidiaries which are not under contract with the union. Now,
Yes. I can't help you if you don't tell me what's going on. So things are getting any worse.
Okay. Now, okay. So where was I? Oh, yeah. Okay. The wholly independent operated means, among other things, that there shall be no interchange of freight, equipment, or personnel, or common use in whole or in parts of equipment, terminals, property, personal or state or ICC rights. Excuse me. Now, the exceptions set forth above shall not apply to accretions to the collective bargaining unit. Now, Section 55, Article 2, incentive plans and bonuses. Now, the employer shall not put into effect any new plan of any economic nature affecting employees, such as incentive plans, sick leave schedules, the piece rate plans, etc., without first checking with and securing the approval of the union. Current plans shall remain in effect unless the union decides to terminate the plan after voting by the employees in the affected center. Now the UPS that I work for used to do bonuses, but they stopped doing them because the people that would get hired during the peak seasons would stay just long enough to get the bonus, and then they leave, and then they would leave. So UPS stopped doing the bonuses because of that. Section 55, Article 3, employees not required to buy or lease equipment. The employer shall not require, as a condition of the continued employment, that an employee shall purchase any truck, tractor, trailer, or vehicular equipment, or that an employee purchase or acquire any proprietary or other interest or obligation in the business. Section 55, Article 4, all temporary personnel shall wear their company identifying badges while on company property. Basically, I have an ID badge that gets me into and out of the building. If you don't have it, you can't get through the gate. Section 55, Article 5, prior to any change of operation in local 75 jurisdiction, the company and the union shall meet to resolve all issues. Section 55, Article 6, it is understood that all unsettled grievances and or issues shall be heard at the UPS 705 panel before it is referred to any other party. Section 55, Article 7, Local 75 UPS Chicago District's mission statement. Notwithstanding any contractual provisions elsewhere in this agreement, in any effort to further develop and increase volume and customer confidence in the local 75 UPS districts operating areas, it is understood that Teamsters Local 75, its agents and members may take a proactive role in supporting and promoting participation in any and all company initiated volume developed activities. Article 56, duration. Section 56, Section 56, Article 1. This agreement shall be in full force and effect from August 1st of 2023 up until July 31st of 2028, and then the new contract will be negotiated on August 1st of 2028. And that shall continue from year to year thereafter, unless written notice of desire to cancel or terminate the agreement is served by either party upon the other at least 60 days prior to the date of the expiration date. Section 52, Article 2. Section 56, Article 2. Where no such cancellation or termination notice is certain, the parties desire to continue the said agreement, but also desire to negotiate changes or any revisions in this agreement. Either party may serve upon the other and notice at least 60 days prior to July 31st of 2028 or July 31st of any subsequent contract year, advising that such party desires to revise or change terms or conditions of such agreement. Section 56, Article 3. Revisions agreed upon or ordered shall be effective as of August 1st, 2023, unless otherwise specifically provided. The employer or Teamsters Local Union 705 shall be permitted all legal or economic recourse to support their request for revisions if the parties fail to agree therein. Section 56. Where's he at? I'm looking for his name. Now, fail to agree therein. Now, in the event of an inadvertent failure by either party to give the notice set forth in Section 1 and 2 of this article, such party may give such notice at any time prior to the termination or automatic renewal date of this agreement. Now, if a notice is not given in accordance with the provisions of this section, the expiration date of this agreement shall be 61st shall be the 61st day following such notice. There is a negotiating committee for the employees. Teamsters Local 75 UPS Negotiating Committee features one chairperson and 2 co-chairs, and then they have rank and file members. Now the members on the board are Juan Campos, who's the chairperson, Ken Emanuelson, who's the co-chair, and Kim Opney, who's co-chair also. Then you got rank and file members: Benny Manzella, Brandon Fortenberry, Brock Johnson, Davion Britton, Dennis Russell, Edgar Garcia, Elijah Campos, Eric Elliott, Horatio Ark, Jeff Fuentes, Jim Carroll, Sean Orr, Sylvia Shanley Nachman, Juan Velazquez, Kevin Flakes, Marco Salgado, Mark Day, Mike Kondo, Michael McVoy, Nicole Davenport, Norma Carey, Patrick Crisp, Paula Clayton, Raul Medina, Robert Hill, Susanna Infante, Terry Kotecki, Tony Wisniewski, Liz Hernandez, Trey Castro, and Tony Dunlap. The others local 75 staff members are the Scott Rain, Kevin Moore, Eddie Vallejo, David Searing, Mike DeVega, Dave Rosales, Bill O'Connor, Kenneth Catrone, Bennett Powell, and Kevin Chanel. Now for the employer United for the UPS company, Matthew Mueller is chair, and the committee members are Mary Bork, Michael Magato, Craig Holmes, Sybil Thomas, Sylvester Selby, Brant Hughes, Chris Overman, and Matthew McDonald, Tiffany Latimer, Ed Sanchez, Dan Jewell, and Craig Williams. Now, the last part, okay, now we got some more parts here, and this is the last of it. Letters of understanding. Special operation weeks affected inside employees. In January of each year, the employer and union shall meet and agree on weeks during the year that may require special operations. Affected full-time inside and full-time combination employees. During special operation weeks, affected full-time employees shall be offered available work to fulfill their daily guaranteed wage, as well as their weekly guarantee, except for the weeks of Christmas and New Year. Start times and work assignments may be changed due to the special operation needs, and not less than 1 week prior to the agreed to special operation week. Affected full-time inside employees shall be offered available work and start times in seniority order within their building. Employees shall indicate their selection on a form provided by the employer. Um, Now, affected part-time inside employees, if no work is available on a shift in a special operation week, affected seniority part-time employees shall be offered work on other shifts in their building. Part-time employees who sign up for such work shall work as directed on the shift selected, and they shall have seniority among themselves not less than 1 week prior to the agreed to special operation week. Affected part-time inside employees shall be offered their options within their building in seniority order. Now the employees shall indicate their selection on a form provided by the employer. Um, the 90-minute gap review. The employer shall periodically review full-time combination jobs that have over an hour break between the segments, and where possible shall reduce that gap. Now part-time 6 and 7 day. This MOU will memorialize the practice of paying time and a half rate for part-time employees for all work performed on the employer's 6th day, and paying double time rates for all work performed on the 7th day, which is Sunday. UPS local 705 UPS local 705 dues. So at the end of each month, the UPS advises the union of how much money was deducted from the member applicant payroll deduction during the current month. The union then provides UPS with a monthly listing of how much is to deduct to each payroll period on each member based on the following criteria. Now, number 2, a joint local 705 UPS dues committee agreed to this process for all dues deduction. The maximum weekly catch-up rate shall be tied to the member's monthly dues rate plus assessment without regards to full-time or part-time status. The assessment rate is tied to full-time or part-time status as noted below. So if a member is current, the standard weekly deductions shall remain on 1/4 of the member's monthly dues plus assessment rate. Now this is the assessment rate. Monthly due 20. There's a monthly due, a standard weekly, and a maximum deduction. They take out less than 26 for me. So basically, we do 26 or less, over $26 through 40, over 40 through 50, and this is all based on how long you've been with the company. The longer you stay with the company, the more they take out. They can take out up to $100 in union fees, which is bullshit. But I don't make the rules on that. The IBT Constitution sets the monthly dues at 2.5 times the members' hourly rate, rounded to the nearest whole dollar for all members earning in excess of $11 per hour or more. For me, I make over 20, so that's based on what they take out. In addition, members identified as full time shall be billed a special assessment of $8 per month, and members identified as part-time shall be billed as a special assessment of $4 per month. Now, dues and fees are deducted from all new hires from the first payroll check. The new expanded schedule shall start with the first paycheck in July, going from July of 2019. Going from August of 2019 remittance until they get added to the union computer program at the correct cap rate. New member deduction shall be at the rate of $20 per week. Now, all union deductions shall show on all UPS checks as dues, and shall be applied to dues initiation and assessment in accordance with the rules set in the union's bylaws and constitution. Full-time combination employees who have two different pay rates for their two halves of their full-time job shall have their hourly rate for the purpose of monthly dues calculated on the basis of their blended day pay rate plus 1 rate 2 divided by 2. Now this is the pay rate at which vacation and holidays are paid out. Now UPS local area consolidation hub, which is where I work at, Teamster Local 75 Peter Department Agreement. Now with UPS Inc., and IBT Local 75 agree that the following terms shall apply to the Kosh Feeder Department. Now let's see. Um, so it is understood that in this, so when it comes to no more than 10% of the cost feeder to the cost feeder board shall be full-time non-CDL shifter positions, referred to as hereafter as full-time shifter. It is understood that this classification is not intended to eliminate the shift jobs. However, the new minimum will be 8%, and the Article 22.3 shifters are vacated. The future 8% can only be increased by mutual agreement of the company and the union. Um, Article 22.3 combination shift employees who employ a higher rate of pay for the shift portion of the job will be red circled at that rate until the position is vacated. The top rate of pay for the full-time shifter position shall begin at the midpoint between the tractor driver rate and the inside jobs after July 31st 2002 rate. There should be no crossover bidding between CDL feeder drivers and full-time shifter feeder boards during the biannual bids. Article 22.3 combination shifter employees shall remain separate and do not participate in a biannual bidding. Now the full-time shifters and Article 22.3 combination shifters shall have the opportunity to, when qualified, add their name to the feeder qualified list should they wish to become CDL feeder drivers. Now, CDL feeder drivers desiring a full-time shift job shall indicate that in writing to the company and to the union and their desire to obtain the said position at the appropriate rate of pay. Now, no more than 25% of any bid start time shall be compromised of bid full-time non-CDL shift jobs unless by mutual agreement of the company and the union. Included in the 10% described in the bulletin board above and the bulletin print above shall be the current 14 Article 22.3 employees whose jobs including shifting. Now these jobs will not be replaced as Article 22.3 shift combination jobs when vacated, but they shall be reconfigured as other Article 22.3 jobs without shift content. But it will be considered a permanent vacancy in accordance with the terms of Article 44, Section 5B, should an Article 22.3 combination shifter work 8 hours or more per day in the shifting portion of their job. Abuses of this provision will be subject to the grievance machinery. When it becomes necessary to reduce the workforce, the layoff shall be in reverse order of seniority. Now, with the said layoff, employees will have the rights to afforded to them under the Article 44, Section 4. Now, when further reductions are necessary, the feeder drivers will be laid off next in the reverse order of seniority. And with the said layoff, employees will have the rights afforded to them under Article 44, Section 4. Now.
Need to let me know.
Okay. Now, the last part is the letter of agreement, Chicago area wage adjustment for part-time employees. Now, in light of the market rate adjustment (MRA) program in the Chicagoland area, and in order to ensure compliance with the ever-changing requirements of Cook County, in the city of Chicago, UPS Inc. and Teamsters Local 75 agreed to apply the Article 22.5 of the Teamsters Local 75 and United Postal Service Agreement as follows. Now, seniority employees as the date of ratification, affected employees whose hourly rate was less than 15 per hour will have the hourly rate converted from 15 an hour to 15 an hour. Such wage rate conversions will be prospectively effective on January 21st of 2019, which is the planned and expiration date of the current MRAs. General wage increases will not be applied until August 1st of 2021. Now, in the event In the event future MRAs are applied to any part-time employee whose wage rate did not increase as a result of this LOA, those MRAs will not result in such new employees receiving an MRA hourly rate that exceeds the paid rate to the affected employees. If the economic conditions change, the parties agree to meet and discuss the need for changes to this. Now, the letter of agreement to the seasonal feeder driver market rate. The United Parcel Service, also known as UPS, Inc. and Teamsters Local 705 agreed that if any market rate adjustment is applied to seasonal feeder drivers, all feeder drivers in that location who are currently in progression will have their hourly rates increased to match those of the seasonal feeder drivers for the duration of the MRA. This is written to clarify the intent of the parties with respect to Article 40, Section 1A, and the language contained to 40.1A is not intended to allow air drivers to make ground pick UPS prior to the regularly scheduled driver's arrival, a sweep high volume account. An exception has made the pickup and as an infrequent and non-routine occurrence. The United Parcel Service, UPS, and IBT Local 75 agreed that Local 75 drivers shall be permitted to wear brown hooded sweatshirts during the inclement weather. And that is the end of the. We have just reached the ending of the union handbook. The newest one, according to this, because this runs from August 1st of 2023 to July 31st of 2028. So the new one will not come up to 2028 unless they decide that they want to change it before then. But every year they change it. Somebody asked me the other day if the union was still following the Jimmy Hoffa playbook, because most jobs that are union, they would not be union if it wasn't for Jimmy Hoffa. Jimmy Hoffa started the union, basically. Now let's go and make this video a little bit longer as much as I can, because Jimmy Hoffa, I've always been wanting to do a video on Jimmy Hoffa because Jimmy Hoffa, like I said, started the union, basically, but he was a troubled character, basically, when I put it that way. He was involved in a lot of crimes. James Hoffa was born James Riddle Hoffa on February 14th of 1913. He disappeared on July 30th of 1975, and they never found him. Basically, they never found his body at all. They know he died, but he was declared dead by his wife on July 30th of 1982. He was an American labor union leader who served as the president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters from 1957 until 1971. But he is notorious for his alleged ties to organized crime and for his disappearance under mysterious circumstances back in 1975. Now, from an early age, Jimmy Hoffa was a union advocate and activist. He became an important regional figure for the International Brotherhood of Teamsters by his mid-20s. By 1952, he was the national vice president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, and between 1957 and 1971, he was its general president. Now, Hoffa secured the first national agreement for Teamsters rates in 1964 with the National Master Freight Agreement. He played a major role in the growth and the development of the union. Now, eventually, he would become eventually the union would become the largest by membership in the United States, with over 2.3 million members at its peak during his term as its leader. Let me see here. I gotta find my cord for my computer to charge this. Now Hoffa also, during the time that he was by the time he was the president of the Teamsters, he was involved in notorious crimes. From his early age of his Teamsters work, a connection that continued to his disappearance. He was convicted of jury tampering, bribery, conspiracy, along with mail and wire fraud in 1964 and two separate accounts. He was imprisoned in 1967 and sentenced to 13 years in prison. but he would get out before then. In mid 1971, he resigned as president of the union as part of a commutation agreement with U.S. President Richard Nixon, and he was released later that year. But he was barred from union activities until 1980, hoping to regain support and to return to the International Brotherhood of Teamsters leadership. He unsuccessfully tried to overturn that order. Hoffa disappeared under mysterious circumstances on July 30th of 1975, but he is generally thought to have been murdered by the mafia, and he was declared legally dead by his wife in 1982. But Hoffa's legacy and the circumstances of his disappearance continue to stir debate until this day. Hoffa was born in Brazil, Indiana, on February 14th of 1913 to John and Viola Hoffa. His father was of German descent, from what is now determined as Pennsylvania Dutch. His father died in 1920 when he was 7 from lung disease when Hoffa was 7 years old. His mother was of Irish ancestry. Now, when he was 11 years old, his mother moved him to Detroit, where Hoffa was raised and lived for the rest of his life. Now, the family moved to Detroit in 1924. Like I said, he left school at age 14 to begin working full-time manual labor jobs to help support his family. Now, in 1937, when he was 24, Hoffa married his wife Josephine, who was an 18-year-old Detroit laundry worker of Polish heritage in Bowling Green, Ohio. The couple had met 6 months earlier during a non-unionized laundry worker strike action. They had 2 children together. They had a daughter named Barbara and a son named James. James P. Hoffa. The Hoffas paid $6,800 in 1939 for a modest home in Northwest Detroit. Who knows what that would be in today's money? The family later owned a simpler home, Summer Lakefront Cottage, in Orion Township, Michigan, north of Detroit. Now, Hoffa began union organizational work at the grassroots level as a teenager through his job working at a grocery chain, which paid substandard wages and offered poor working conditions with minimal job security. The workers were displeased with that situation, and they tried to organize a union to better their wages. Although Hoffa was young, his courage and approachability in that role impressed his fellow workers, and he rose to a leadership position. By 1932, after refusing to work for the abusive shift foreman, Hoffa would leave the grocery store chain, partly because of his union activities. He was then invited to become a union organizer with Local 279 of the Teamsters in Detroit. Now, the Teamsters, founded in 1903, had 75,000 members in 1933. As a result of Hoffa's work with other union leaders, he consolidated local union trucker groups into regional sections and then into a national body, which Hoffa ultimately completed over 2 decades. Membership grew to 170,000 members by 1936, and then in 1939 it grew to 420,000. The number would steadily grow during World War II, and the post-war boom to eventually top 1 million members by 1951. Now, the Teamsters organized truck drivers and warehousemen throughout the Midwest and then nationwide. Now, Hoffa would play a major role in the union's skillful use of a quickie strike, secondary boycotts, and other means of averaging union strength at one company and moves to organize workers at another, and finally to win contract demands at other companies. Now, that process, which took several years starting in the early 1930s, eventually brought the Teamsters to a position of being one of the most powerful unions in the United States. Now, trucking unions in that era were heavily influenced by and in many cases controlled by elements of organized crime. Now, to unify and expand trucking unions, Hoffa made accommodations and arrangements with many gangsters beginning in the Detroit era. Organized crime's influence on the IBT increased as the union grew. Now, Hoffa worked to defend the Teamsters from raids by other unions, including the Congress of Industrial Organization, and he extended the Teamsters Teamsters influence in the Midwest from the late 1930s to the late 1940s. Hoffa obtained a deferment from military service in World War II by successfully making a case for his union leadership skills being of more value to the nation by keeping freight running smoothly to assist the war effort. Although he never actually worked as a truck driver, he became president of Local 299 in December of 1946. He then rose to lead the combined group of Detroit area locals shortly afterwards, and later advanced to become a head of the Michigan Teamsters groups. Now, with these videos, with these YouTube videos, and stuff like that, I'm just basically trying to build a fan base doing these live streams. Also, it's good. It's good to get to know people from around the world when you do them. Who knows? Because you got different people from different states and countries commenting on my videos once in a while. Anybody that's available, anybody can hop on when they want to. I'm not going to force them to, but they can hop on if they want. Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys are thinking about these videos. You could also like and subscribe to the video if you want to. Now Hoffa would then and let's get back. Okay, so then the Hoffa would eventually rise to lead the combined group of Detroit area locals. Shortly afterwards, and later he advanced to become head of the Michigan Teamsters group. Now in 1952, at the 1952 International Brotherhood of Teamsters Convention in Los Angeles, Hoffa was selected as the national vice president by incoming President David Beck, the successor to Daniel J. Tobin, who had been president since 1907. Tobin would step down after 45 years. Hoffa had quelled an internal revolt against Tobin by securing Central States regional supports for Beck at the convention. In exchange, Beck would make Hoffa the vice president to the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. In 1952, a petty criminal living in New York, Marvin Elkin, was assigned by gangster Anthony Salerno to work as Jimmy Hoffa's chauffeur. In a 2008 interview, Elkin said that of his 4 years of working as a chauffeur, Hoffa was a tremendously intimidating man. This man had no fear at all, nothing. He showed very little emotion. He had completely no sense of humor and was dedicated to the people that belonged to his union. Now, when you drive these people around, you learn a lot, and I'll tell you why. They kind of pretend that you're not there. You become a piece of the car, just like an extra gear, shift or brake, and then they talk. Excuse me. Now, the International Brotherhood of Teamsters moved its headquarters from Indianapolis to Washington, D.C., and they took over and had taken over a large office building in the Capitol in 1955. The International Brotherhood of Teamsters staff was also enlarged, with many lawyers hired to assist with contract negotiations. Now, following his 1952 election as vice president, Hoffa began spending more of his time away from Detroit, or either in Washington or traveling around the country for his expanded responsibilities. Now Hoffa's personal lawyer was Bill Bufalino. Now, if you want a good Jimmy Hoffa movie, watch The Irishman, which is based on Jimmy Hoffa, and Al Pacino played a good role. Now, Hoffa took over the presidency of the Teamsters in 1957 at the convention in Miami Beach, Florida. Now, Beck, his predecessor, had appeared before the John L. McClain-led U.S. Senate Select Committee on Proper Activities in Labor and Management Field in March of 1957, and took the Fifth Amendment 140, and he pleaded the Fifth 140 times. You don't plead the Fifth 140 times unless you're guilty. Now, Beck was under indictment when the International Brotherhood of Teamsters Convention took place, and was convicted and imprisoned in trial for fraud held in Seattle. Now, at the 1957 AFL-CIO convention held in Atlantic City, New Jersey, union members voted nearly 5-1 to expel the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. Vice President Walter Reuther led the fight to oust the International Brotherhood of Teamsters on charges of Halpa's corrupt leadership. President George Meany gave an emotional speech advocating for the removal of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters and stating that he could only agree to further affiliation of the Teamsters if they dismissed Halpa as their president, which they didn't. Meany demanded a response from Halpa, who replied through the press, "We'll see." At the time, the International Brotherhood of Teamsters was bringing in over $750,000 a year annually to the AFL-CIO. With the National Master Freight Agreement, following his re-election as president in 1961, Halpa had worked to expand the union. In 1964, he succeeded in bringing virtually all over-the-road truck drivers in North America under a single National Master Freight Agreement, which may have been his biggest achievement in the lifetime of union activity. Halpa then tried to bring airline workers and other transport employees into the union with very limited success. He then faced immense personal strain as he was under investigation on trial, launching appeals of convictions or imprisoned for virtually all of the 1960s. Halpa was re-elected without opposition to a third 5-year term as the president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, despite having been convicted of jury tampering and mail fraud in court verdicts that were stayed pending review on appeal. Delegates in Miami Beach also elected Frank Fitzsimmons as his first vice president, who would become president if Halpa had to serve any jail time, which Halpa did. Halpa faced major criminal investigations in 1957 as a result of the McClellan Committee. On March 14, 1957, Halpa was arrested for allegedly trying to bribe an aide to the Select Committee. Halpa denied the charges and was later acquitted, but the arrest triggered additional investigations and more arrests and indictments over the following weeks. When John F. Kennedy was elected president in 1960, he appointed his younger brother Robert as Attorney General. Robert Kennedy had been frustrated in early attempts to convict Halpa while working as a counsel to the McClellan subcommittee. As Attorney General from 1961, Robert Kennedy pursued a strong attack on organized crime, and he carried on with a so-called Get Halpa squad of prosecutors and investigators. In May of 1963, Halpa was indicted for jury tampering in Tennessee, but charged with the attempted robbery of a grand juror during his 1962 conspiracy trial in Nashville. Halpa was convicted on March 4th, 1964, and subsequently he was sentenced to 8 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. While on bail during his appeal, Halpa was convicted in a second trial held in Chicago on July 26, 1964, on 1 count of conspiracy and 3 counts of mail and wire fraud for improper use of the Teamsters Pension Fund, and sentenced to 5 years in prison. That's the one good thing about the union. They got a 401k and pension fund. The longer you work at your job that has a pension, the more money you get built up in that pension fund. Halpa would spend the next 3 years unsuccessfully appealing his 1964 convictions, and appeals filed by his chief counsel, defense attorney Morris Shanker, reached the U.S. Supreme Court. He began serving his aggregate prison sentence of 13 years, 8 years for robbery, 5 years for fraud. On March 7, 1967, at the Lewisburg Federal Penitentiary in Pennsylvania. Appointment of Fitzsimmons as the caretaker president. When Halpa was sentenced to prison, Frank Fitzsimmons was named acting president of the union, and Halpa planned to run the union from prison through Fitzsimmons. Fitzsimmons was a Halpa loyalist, fellow Detroit resident, and a longtime member of Teamsters Local 299. He owed his own high position in large part to Halpa's influence. Despite this, Fitzsimmons would soon distance himself from Halpa's influence and control after 1967 to Halpa's displeasure. Fitzsimmons was also decentralized power somewhat within the IBT's administration structure. The International Brotherhood of Teamsters structure basically. Foregoing much of the control Halpa took advantage of as a union president. While still in prison, Halpa resigned as Teamsters president on June 19, 1971, and Fitzsimmons was elected Teamsters president on July 9th, 1971. Now, after prison, on December 23rd, 1971, less than 5 years into his 13-year sentence, Hoppe was released from prison when U.S. President Richard Nixon commuted it to time served. As a result of Hoppe's previous resignation, he was awarded $1.75, a $1.75 million lump sum termination benefit by the Teamsters Retirement and Family Protection Plan. Now, that type of pension settlement had never occurred with the Teamsters, but the IBT then endorsed Nixon, who was a Republican in his presidential re-election bid in 1972. Now, in prior re-elections, the union normally supported Democratic nominees, but they switched and endorsed Nixon in 1960. Even though Nixon would lose to Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon would lose to John F. Kennedy. Now, even though the movie Nixon was pretty good, even though they had Anthony Hopkins play him, now Hoppe would regain his freedom, but the communication from Nixon did not allow Hoppe to engage in the direct or indirect management of any labor organization until March 6th of 1980. Now, that's if he would have gained back his International Brotherhood of Teamsters presidency if he had lived until then. Hoppe contended that he had never agreed to that condition, but Hoppe accused senior Nixon administration figures, including Attorney General John N. Mitchell and White House Special Counsel Charles Colson, of depriving him of his rights by imposing that condition. It was suspected that the condition had been imposed by Teamsters leadership. 1973, Hoppe was the presidency of the Teamsters again. Now, Hoppe sued to invalidate the restriction so that he could reassert his power over the Teamsters. John Dean, former White House counsel Nixon, was among those so-called this is the longest thing, basically. Okay, so Hoppe sued to invalidate the restrictions so that he could reassert his power over the Teamsters, like I said. But basically, John Dean, former White House counsel to Nixon, was among those called upon for depositions in 1974 in the 1974 court proceedings. Now John Dean, who had become famous as a government witness in prosecutions arising from the Watergate scandal by mid-1973, had drafted the clause in 1971 at Nixon's request. Now Hoppe ultimately lost his court battle, since the court ruled that Nixon had acted within his powers by imposing the restriction, as it had been based on Hoppe's misconduct while he was serving as Teamsters official. Now Hoppe faced immense resistance to his reestablishment of power for many corners, and had lost much of his earlier support even in the Detroit area. As a result, he intended to begin his comeback at the local event with the local 299 in Detroit. He retained some influence basically there. Now, in 1975, before he disappeared, Hoppe was working on an autobiography called Hoppe: The Real Story, which was published a few months after his disappearance. But he had earlier published a book titled The Trials of Jimmy Hoppe back in 1970, which I've never read either book. At the time of Hoppe's death, Hoppe lived with his family at their summer cottage in the village of Lake Orion, which was about an hour drive from the restaurant where he was last seen. His home was located on a multi-acre wooded lot on Square Lake. The property was over 2,500 square feet, as well as outbuildings. Now, with Hoppe's disappearance, Hoppe's plans to regain the leadership of the union were met with opposition from several members of the mafia. One of them was Anthony Provenzano, which Hoppe had a very intense rivalry with. Now Provenzano had been a Teamsters local leader in New Jersey and a national vice president of the union during Hoppe's second term as president. Now Provenzano was a capo and the New York City Genovese crime family. At least two of Provenzano's union opponents had been murdered, and others who had outspoken against him had also been assaulted. Um, Now Provenzano had been a friend of Halpa at first, but he became an enemy after having a reported feud when both were in federal prison at Lewisburg, Pennsylvania in the 1960s. In 1973 and 74, Halpa had asked him for his support to regain his former position, but Provenzano refused and threatened Halpa by reportedly saying he would pull out his guts or kidnap his children. Now other mafia members who became involved were Anthony Giacalone, not sure if I'm saying that name right, an alleged kingpin of the Detroit Mafia, and his younger brother Vito. The FBI believes that they were positioning themselves as mediators between Halper and Provenzano. Now, the brothers had made 3 visits to Halper's home at Lake Orion and 1 to the Guardian Building law offices. Their avowed purpose in meeting Halper was to set up a peace meeting between Provenzano and Halper. The Halper's son James said that his father was pushing so hard to get back into office. He was basically, the son said he was increasingly afraid that the mob would do something about it, and James was convinced that the peace meeting was a pretext to Giacalone's setting Dead up for a hit. Since Halpa had increasingly been uneasy each time the Giacalone brothers arrived. I gotta see, because this is
Try and get some rest.
Let's see if I want to see if this app. And like I said, I'm happy that one of the roommates basically jailbreaks my Fire Stick for me. So basically, I get everything. Oh no, I don't want to exit the app. Let me go see if I can find a movie on here and see if they have it. I've seen the Irish movie like 25 times, and no matter what, if I find an app that actually has it, I will continuously watch it. I want to see if this app actually has it, and there's no guarantee that it does. Oh, yes it does. Okay. And with this movie, it's 3.5 hours, and it's well worth the watch. Let me see. They also have a thing on here called Making the Irishman. Okay, previous. Let me go see this. They have a couple different movies called The Irishman here. They got the Netflix version. Okay, this one is called The Collaboration of a Lifetime Irishman. But you also got the movie, and you also got, yeah, so that's actually well worth a watch. I suggest for anybody who hasn't seen The Irishman, go watch it. I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but if you have a Fire Stick TV and you jailbreak your Fire Stick, download something called HBO Box, and they have it. And that's what my roommate did. He downloaded HBO Box, and it's basically got everything on there for me to watch if I choose to watch it. I might watch it again if it stays in here. And I can never get enough of that movie. Now, on July 30th, Halpa disappeared. On July 30th of 1975, after he had gone to a meeting with Provenzano and Giacalone. The meeting was to take place at 2 p.m. at the Macus Red Fox restaurant in Bloomfield Township, a Detroit suburb. Now, the place was known to Halpa as it had been the site of a wedding reception for his son James, but Halpa wrote Giacalone's initials and the time and location of the meeting in his office calendar, 2G, 2 p.m., Red Fox. Halpa left his Lake Orion home at about 1:15 p.m. Before heading to the restaurant, he stopped at the Pontiac office of his close friend, Louis Lintow, a former president of Teamsters Local 614, who who now ran a limousine service. Lin Chao and Hopper had been enemies earlier in their careers, but they would eventually become friends. When Hopper left prison, Lin Chao had also become Hopper's unofficial appointment secretary, and he arranged a dinner meeting between Hopper and the Gio Calhoun brothers on July 26th, in which they had informed him of the July 30 meeting. Lin Chao was out to lunch when Hopper stopped by, so Hopper talked to some of the staff present and left a message for Lin Chao before he left for the Marcus Red Fox. Between 2:15 and 2:30 p.m., an annoyed Hopper called his wife from a payphone on a post in front of a Damon Hardware, and they don't use payphones anymore. Directly behind the Marcus Red Fox, and complained that Gio Calhoun had not shown up and that he had been stood up. His wife had told him that she had not heard from anyone, but he told her that he would be home in Lake Orion by 4 p.m. to grill steaks for dinner. Several witnesses saw Hopper standing in his car and pacing in the restaurant's parking lot. Two men saw Hopper, recognized him, and they stopped to chat with him briefly and to shake his hand. Hopper also made a call to Lin Chao, which he again complained that the men were late. Now, Lin Chao gave the time as 3:30 p.m., but the FBI suspected that it was earlier. Based on the timing of other phone calls from Lin Chao's office around that time, the FBI estimates that Hopper left the location without a struggle around 2:45 and 2:50 p.m. One witness reported seeing Hopper in the back of a maroon Lincoln or Mercury car with 3 other people. Now, at 7 a.m. the next day, Hopper's wife called her son and daughter to say that their father had not come home. At 7:20 a.m., Lin Chao went to the Marcus Red Fox and found Hopper's unlocked car in the parking lot, but there was no sign of Hopper, nor any indication of what had happened to him. Basically, he just upped and disappeared. But there was no sign, no struggle, no nothing. Now Lin Chao called the police, who later arrived at the scene. The Michigan State Police were brought in, and the FBI was alerted at 6 p.m. Jimmy Hopper's son, James, filed a missing persons report. The Hopper family had offered a $200,000 reward for any information about his disappearance. Now, the primary piece of physical evidence obtained in this investigation was a maroon 1975 Mercury Marcus Broham, which belonged to Anthony Gio Calhoun's son Joseph. Now, the car had been borrowed earlier that day by Chucky O'Brien to deliver fish. Now, O'Brien was Hopper's adopted son, although relations between them had soured in the years preceding Hopper's disappearance. The investigators and Hopper's family suspected that O'Brien had a role in Hopper's disappearance. On August 21st, the police dogs identified Hopper's scent in the car. Gio Calhoun and Provenzano denied having scheduled a meeting with Hopper, and they were found to not have been anywhere near that restaurant during that day. According to Time magazine, Provenzano was seen fraternizing with local union members in Hoboken. Although Provenzano told investigators that he was playing cards with Stephen Andretta, Thomas Andretta's brother, in Union City, New Jersey, the day that Hopper disappeared. Despite extensive surveillance and bugging, investigators found that the mafia members were generally unwilling to ask about Hopper's disappearance even in private. On December 4th of 1975, a federal Now, despite extensive surveillance and bugging, investigators found that the mafia members were generally unwilling to talk about Hopper's disappearance, even in private. On December 4th of 1975, a federal investigator in Detroit had testified in court before presiding over Judge James Paul Churchill that a witness had identified 3 New Jersey men as having participated in the abduction and murder of Jimmy Hopper. The 3 men were close associates of Provenzano, Thomas Andretta, and Salvatore Bruguglio, and his brother Gabriel. In October of 1975, Michigan Attorney General Frank Kelly went to Waterford Township to supervise an unsuccessful expedition to locate and exhume Hopper's remains. The search was triggered by a tip from an unnamed informer who said a group of mafioso wanted Hopper's body found. Now, after years of investigation, involving numerous law enforcement agencies, including the FBI. Officials have not reached a definitive conclusion as to Hoffa's fate or who was involved. Hoffa's wife Josephine died on September 12th of 1980, but she's interred at the Whitechapel Memorial Cemetery in Troy, Michigan. On December 9th of 1982, Hoffa was declared legally dead as of July 30th of 1982 by Oakland County, Michigan probate judge Norman Bernard. Usually, if you disappear and they can't find you after 7 years, then you're basically declared dead, and that's what happened with Jimmy Hoffa. After 7 years, he was never found. They declared him dead. In 1989, Kenneth Walton, the agent in charge of the FBI's Detroit office, told the Detroit News that he knew what happened to Hoffa. I'm confident I know who did it, but it's never going to be prosecuted because we would have to divulge informants and confidential sources. In July of 2001, the FBI matched DNA from Hoffa's hair taken from a brush with a strand of hair found in Joe Calhoun's car, but it's possible that Hoffa had traveled in the car on a different day. On July 16th of 2006, the Detroit Free Press published the entire Hoffa memo, a 56-page report prepared by the FBI for a January 1976 briefing on the case at the FBI headquarters in Washington, although not conclusively to establish the specifics of his disappearance. Now, the memo records a belief that Hoffa was murdered at the behest of organized crime figures, and basically who regarded his efforts to regain power in the Teamsters as a threat to their control of the union's pension fund. In the Hoffa memo, it concluded, based on evidence, that Chucky O'Brien, who was described by FBI investigators as a habitual liar, was driving Geo Calhoun's maroon 1979 Mercury with the license TMS 416 on the day of the disappearance, and that Hoffa was seated in the right rear seat of the car. His body set was located by police dogs, and a piece of his hair was recovered from the back seat. A pump action 12-gauge shotgun was seized from the trunk of the car, and numerous 22 and 38 caliber bullets were found in the glove compartment. As of 2021, digs were still periodically conducted in the Detroit area in search for Hoffa's body. The common theory among experts is that the body was cremated, and that's why they couldn't find his body. But there is wide agreement among crime historians and investigators that Hoffa was murdered on the order of his enemies in the mafia. However, key details remain either unknown or improbable, and this was ensured that no individuals have ever been charged in retaliation to the case. In discussing potential motives, both the 1976 Hoffa memo and scholarship prior to its release focus on mafia opposition to Hoffa's plans to regain the Teamsters leadership and the threat Hoffa posed to the mafia's control over the union's pension fund. Now, let me see if there's anything else in here. Okay, so at least I know the Irishman is in there. Also, let's see if this one movie is also in here. I don't know if it's the full one or not. Oh, crap. Go back. There's a movie I also love called Blood and Blood Out, but it's also known as Bound by Honor, and that's a good movie too. That's a 3-hour movie that's well worth the watch. It's a movie centered on Mexican gangs. Not sure if I'm spelling honor right, but let me see. Oh yes, they do. They got it in here. Now, it doesn't. Actually, I have not. I don't know. That's probably like I said, it's a 3 hour movie. It's a 3 hour movie that's well worth the watch. Um, I do have Netflix programmed in here along with Hulu. Um, let me see what's on Hulu here. Um, my only complaint with the HBO box though is that sometimes you gotta switch servers on watching on what show you're watching. Um, so sometimes it's hit and miss um, with it. Let's see. So it's like that basically. You got TV and movies, and then you got shows you can watch. Eventually, when I get my raise from UPS, I might be adding some stuff to I might be adding some stuff to and so again, the longer I stay, I'm just hoping to get through my college courses, do all 11 classes, um, and basically once I get all 11 classes done within the next year or two, then I can have a degree in plant engineering, and I can become a plant engineer, making double the money of what I'm making now. So that's the only good thing is that, and also with UPS paying for my college, that gives me a chance to save money, and they also will pay me grant money as long as I maintain a C average in my courses. So basically, I'll get a check every I'll get a check every month from them as long as I'm taking my courses and I'm passing them, which is great. The one thing I'm going to have to work on is my math skills because I'm not very good in math, and one of my classes pertains to algebra, so I gotta basically get like a tutor or something like that to help me with math. So at least I know. Let's get back to watching the one show. Okay, so here, if you could see this, I'm gonna get up for a second. Oh shit, I'm getting old. So, this is the app that my roommate downloaded for me after he jailbreaked my Fire Stick. So, here, you'll see what shows I've been watching on this particular app. It's similar to Peacock, but not exactly because Peacock has very limited shows. But Netflix and this HBO box he downloaded for me have the most. So here's Fear the Walking Dead. Then you got Grey's Anatomy, Jag, which was the prequel to NCIS. Then you got I was watching South Park the other day. One of my favorite shows. Simpsons, also one of my favorite shows. The original Doctor Who show, Hill Street Blues, NYPD Blue, Blue Bloods, SWAT, Fire Country, 911, Lone Star, 911, Station 19. Station 19 is a sequel to the Grey's Anatomy show. Then you got Outer Banks, The Night Agent. They just started season 2. I've seen the first season, but haven't got through season 2 yet. The TV show Bull. Basically the show Bull stars the guy from NCIS called Michael Weatherly, who played Denozo. And then you got Bob's Burgers, also love that show, and American Dad, and Family Guy. Those are what I have on watch list right now. Like I said, they only let you watch so many shows on the home screen before they disappear. So I just keep it limited to what I'm already watching. After Fear the Walking Dead's over, then I'll go back to watching like other shows. And I just bounce back and forth between them every now and then. So that's on my watch list for the HBO box. me go see if my headphones are done charging here. Um, oh, yeah, I might need a new cord. I don't know. Trying to charge my headphones, but but the weather's been so shitty and cold that nothing's maintaining a proper charge in my room. Yeah, but it's gonna be a long day. I will have a live stream out again tomorrow, but on my other channel. Um, um, so, but I haven't decided what I'm gonna talk about yet on that channel. But I'll just come up with something. But I did get my new ID badge, right here. Every now and then, when it comes to UPS, the badges stop working. Don't know why. And then every now and then you gotta go up to security and get a new badge, and that's what I had to do. So it states that I've been with UPS since September 16th. There's nothing personal on this. It just basically states my name and when I got hired in, and what shift I work. And okay, so I got hired on September 16th of 2024, and the S means sunrise shift. So I've been working sunrise since I started in September, and I'm probably going to keep it for as of right now, because according to the lady I talked to for my college courses, UPS will pay for my college courses as long as I work twilight, sunrise, or night sort, and so I just work my sunrise shift, and I've always been a morning person. I've always been up in the morning and sleeping in the afternoon. But that will change once I get my degree and I get hired in as a plant engineer, and then everything will change for me. So I hope the people that tuned in enjoyed the video. Let's see if anybody subscribes to the video or not. But we just finished the union handbook, so I'm done reading that until the new one comes out. The new one might have some of the same stuff in it, but just changes to certain things. The changes will be like the pay. So when they renegotiate the new contract in 2028, they will give a new handbook out that will be updated with the pay and what the pay for everybody will be. They did make a couple of changes, because before the package handlers that were hired in at UPS, the ones that got hired in like 3 or 4 years ago, they were making 24 an hour, and now the new hires are making 21 an hour, and so we got to work our way up to 24 by then. If I had worked at UPS 3 or 4 years ago, and I got hired in then I would have been making I would have been making $24 an hour then, and I would have been pushing close to 30 by now, and I'm not, because they changed that rule. But the longer you stay working for UPS, the more money you'll be making. So basically, a lot of people say they quit because it's part-time. Of course it is. That's what they hire you in as, and then you work your way into a full-time schedule. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put as much time in and try to get full-time as quickly as possible, so I can make that extra money that I need. I'm hoping you guys enjoyed the video. I'm going to let you guys go. I got to get some stuff done. But if you like the video, if you like the live stream video, give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, RVW King. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe button, because like we're trying to get as many subscribers as we can for the year. And if you want to support my work, but you can also, when the live stream is done posting, you can leave a comment. Let me know what you guys were thinking for the ones that didn't comment today. But if you want to support my work even further, you can donate to my Patreon link, which you can find in the section of YouTube. And for just a few bucks a video, your donation can help go a long way. And thanks for listening.